below zero hits us in life. Built for the cold, you say? That ain't right. Too cold for the average Joe, just right for those who hear the show. In the image of greatness you were made, but taught by the world to be played. A new generation, we're building. No victims, we're creating. Them haters, keep hating, cause Gen Zero, we blazing. Welcome to another episode of the Built for the Cold podcast. Too cold for the average Joe, just right for me and the listeners and viewers of this show, where even though apparently it's the coldest I've ever experienced in Florida, not expecting to come down from Wisconsin and experience 50s, and now I'm all of a sudden like I'm not built for the cold, doesn't mean we can't not be built for the cold in terms of life and how we go about things and how we handle adversity. The main goal of why I even created this show was to help people realize that it's not about what happens to them, it's about how they respond. Today, we're going to talk about, in the first part of this series of what I call separation season, we're going to talk about today about handling adversity. And I find a lot of times when it comes to adversity, a lot of people have different perspectives. They claim different things of like, oh, there's adversity that like life gives to you. Then I find there's also adversity that you choose. Like choose your heart. I'm sure many of you have heard that before. It's like it's kind of hard to stay where you are, but it's also hard to move forward too. So choose your heart. When I think separation season, this concept was introduced to me a little while ago, a few years back, but it stuck with me, right? Because separation season is this. During the holidays, most people sit there, maybe start of October, whatever, start thinking holiday mode, and they just start to coast. They take like pressure off the gas pedal. They start to maybe not show. I mean, I see it in the gym for sure. Like everyone's for sure not in the gym right now. It's like quieter than I've ever seen it. I mean, that's normal every single year, right? But it's when people just kind of start to take it a little easier, take a few days off here and there. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy your holidays. I'm not saying don't spend time with family. I'm not saying don't travel, do all those fun things. I have a couple of trips myself coming up. I'm actually getting married, all these different things going on that I understand. It's an exciting time of year, but it does not mean you have to take your foot off the gas. Separation season just means what are the 1 to 2 things you're doing beyond what you're normally used to doing, and you're pursuing them during this time of year while everyone else is taking a break. Everyone else is taking it easier, at least most people around you. Now, there are some of you that get very inspired by this message because like, all right, Joe, like what can I do? What can I do different? I'll talk about that. That's what we're going to cover in these kind of next, I guess, 7 or 8 episodes of just like, what do I do in separation season to get myself above and beyond anything I've ever done before? That radical change starts now. Now, radical change isn't done overnight. It's not done where one weekend you're just inspired to do a bunch of things. It's what you do consistently. Those small little things you do consistently on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that will separate you. It's why I created the framework, the 90 frames, for those of you that want to look that up. It's a free habits program that allows you to kind of just stack wins, right? Think of every day as a frame, and what you do in the frame either progresses you toward where you're going, or by default staying stagnant and choosing not to do those small things, you actually start to regress. There is no stagnation in life. There's progression or regression. That's a myth that many people, unfortunately, don't figure out until they spend. I've heard one time, like one former friend had said, like, man, I just felt like I spent the last kind of 20 years just doing whatever. Well, there's a term for that. It's called drifting. When you just let life just blow you wherever the wind blows, and all of a sudden you end up somewhere where you didn't anticipate you're going to be because you don't have purpose, you don't have intention, you're not actually going after what you want. So I bring this up today, not to tell you, one, that I'm cooler than anyone else. I don't believe that I'm better than anyone else. And I also don't believe anyone's better than me. I just believe that everything we are today is a culmination of our actions, decisions, and experiences, and how we've chosen to frame those things. How you see things, and when you change the way you look at your situation starts to change. If you see something happening to you, you could be like, oh man, that happened to me. Or it could happen for you. Whether you chose to pursue that or not, it could happen for you. So I'll start by giving you all of an example of kind of what I've been through. I know some of you know my story. Some of you brand new listeners may have never heard my story before, and that's okay. I'm not here to bore you with all that. You can go back to previous episodes. But I ended the year of 2024 at the end of the year, when I'm kind of reflecting and everything, I ended the year divorced. I ended the year fired. I ended the year diagnosed with a very severe sleep apnea condition. Even though I've been in the gym for 22 years straight, no doctor ever thought that I would have had sleep issues genetically, but I do. And the fourth thing is, I almost died in a car crash. So that was my November and December of last year. And most people would be like, man, like how did you do it? What did you do to recover? Everything else. I've just always seen, and maybe I got this from different people. I know Layla Hormozi mentioned it multiple times. I got it from Tim Grover. How do you respond in the face of adversity? Because yeah, it's great when like things are going well, when things are going for you, but when things start to unravel that you didn't anticipate or never thought would happen, it's what are you doing in those moments? How do you see that moment as something, okay, this happened, how do I regroup? So just to give you an example, what we've been able to do, like basically in a year's time since then, we're almost coming up on the exact date. This is being recorded on November 10th. On November 11th, no, Veterans Day, on 11:11 a.m., I can't make this up, on 11:11 a.m., on 11/11/2024, I got a call that I was fired. No reasons given. I asked for reasons. They couldn't tell me. No exit interview. And I was literally in the top 5 performers of a company of like 130 agents. Anyway, I don't care about that anymore. It's long gone in the past. But I mention it because I will never forget that call. And the timestamp I took on my phone exactly when it happened. So this is kind of maybe what's inspiring me to come up with this series, is because it's what happens to you when you face adversity like that. Okay. Since then, just looking at this year in 2025 and into my business full time, right? Everything I've been doing in sales, everything I've been kind of building up in sales training, working with a lot of different people, went into business full time, took a gamble on that. I found love again. I found the woman of my dreams. I literally, I kid you not, I wrote down exactly when I was kind of healing, going through stuff. I wrote down exactly what I'd be looking for in a dream wife, and trusted God, prayed to God, and just said, hey, I'm not going to go look. I know you'll provide. Sure enough, on a work trip, ended up meeting that person who today is about to soon be my wife, and we'll build a family and everything. And that came from just choosing to see things in a different way, choosing to respond to things in a different way. I was also able to I was very fortunate enough to have some connections that featured me in different magazines many of you've heard of, like Forbes, Hollywood Times, CEO Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine, Men's Health. That was a lot of fun. Got to do some photo shoots for that. Kind of all that hard work in the gym paying off there. I launched this podcast and getting more and more listeners, having some awesome guests on the show. Just excited to keep kind of pouring into people in a way that's through this platform. I don't monetize it. That's not what I'm seeking. It's actually just to kind of like help a lot of people recognize they don't need to be like victims of their circumstance. Like just because every D imaginable could happen in their life doesn't mean they have to let that define them. And you definitely don't need to blame the God for everything that happens to you. Like things happen for you sometimes. Also, kind of the last thing I'll put, this is kind of a new announcement, something pretty exciting. Many of you know the work I do with Jeremy in 7th level. Currently, right now, through third party ranking, he's actually ranked the #1 sales trainer influencer in the entire world. And we recently just actually kind of partnered in business together. Things I'll be building out with him. So that's pretty exciting, right? All those things to say, we didn't do anything different that I don't think anyone else could do. It's how we chose to respond. It's the actions we chose to take. And it's how we allowed those actions and decisions to frame how we want to move forward. It doesn't mean I don't wake up certain days without doubt. It doesn't mean I wake up certain days without hardship. Blending families, with my fiance and her daughter, and different things going on with family, different things going on all the time. There's always going to be things going on. See, that's the funniest part, because I talk to people about like kind of overcoming to become, and people come to us all the time like wanting to change, wanting to do this. It's not about what you want. It's about what you're willing to accept and act on. Because so many people, it's just like this proximity theory I talk about in some of my training. It's like when the goal is so far away, you feel like you have all this time in the world to like get there. When I was listening to a recent podcast by the Mental Health Show, and this woman like consulted people who are on their deathbeds. And the number one wish that all of them wished that she surveyed, they said this: I wish I lived the life that I want to live versus the one others influence me to live. some version of that. And I think too many times we see adversity and we see the way that life happens to us as a reason to not move forward, or as a reason to why we're the special one that's not going to make it, or why the universe is stacked against us for why success is just not built for us. And I couldn't believe any further that that's not true. It's just not true at all. But choosing to believe that is also a choice, right? I'm not saying it's easy. Obviously, I'm speaking from experience that you can choose overnight if you want to change or whatever. You can choose to change overnight if you want to. The question is not, should I do it? The question is not, I need to do it. The question is not, I have to do it. The question is, are you willing to? Do you want to change your situation? Because if you don't, are you willing to accept the result of the situation and your frame for how you view what's happened to you? Are you willing to accept that moving forward? Because we'll talk about next time. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you accept. See you on the next one. This is where winners learn to be great. Built for the cold, you say? That damn straight. The lessons, the love, the insights from above. Hope you take them and grow, even with another cup of Joe. Thank you for dropping in and listening to the show.